Welcome! In this series of videos, we will look at software that complements the PowerBasic Windows and console compilers. Today we will look again at the SmartGit application to allow you to version manage your applications by pushing your changes to the cloud. This was a setup of the SmartGit client at the end of the last video. The source files in this source code repository exist only on this Odroid computer. Should anything happen to the storage of this computer, the source files and history would be lost. To avoid this happening, one of our options is to push any changes we make up to the cloud after committing them to the local Git repository. If we click on the remote menu option and select Push To, as there is no current remote repository, SmartGit prompts you to add one. There are a number of cloud-based repositories available, but today we're going to use GitHub. GitHub will allow you to set up either public or private repositories, depending on your needs. I've already set up a private repository following the prompts on the GitHub website. What we're going to do now is to link this remote repository to SmartGit. Clicking on the code button will provide the URL, which you can copy and paste into SmartGit. The name defaults to Origin, but you can change this to any suitable name and then click the Add button. At this point, SmartGit will prompt you to set up the encrypted password store. This allows you to store the authentication of many repositories in one encrypted location, accessed by one single master password. This is a password for the local encrypted password store and not a remote repository. Before we can connect to the remote repository, we need to set up GitHub. As with all authentication processes, there are options here. The GitHub website can be used to decide which authentication method is best for your purposes. Today we are going to use a personal access token, which gives good enough security for our purposes and provides fine-grained control of what that token can do on GitHub. GitHub's website gives detailed instructions on how to create your tokens. Go to your GitHub account and scroll down to the developer settings. Then click on the personal access tokens. Click on the type of token you need, then click the Generate New Token button. You will then be taken to a page where you can give a name to your token to indicate its purpose. Next, you can set the expiry period, setting how long the token is to last. The remainder of the options on this page are to set the scope of the token, that is, what will the user of that token be able to do in GitHub. Once these are set, scroll down and click the Generate Token button. You should then copy the token and return to SmartGit. Click on the remote menu option and click Push To. Click Add Remote. It will show the URL you entered earlier. Ensure the Verify Repository Connect is ticked and click Add. Now we can log into GitHub, enter your GitHub account and paste in the token to the password field. Then click the Store Password. This will store the username and token in the encrypted password store. There are further integrations that you can do in SmartGit, but these are beyond the scope of this video. Now we can push our local repository up to GitHub. Click the Push button in the toolbar and confirm that you wish to push this branch to GitHub. This begins the work, and you'll see we now have a push succeeded. If you look in the graph window, you'll see that we now have origin equals master. This means our master branch, our local repository, is now matched with the remote branch on GitHub, which we called origin. Now that we have both local and remote repositories in sync with each other, we can make changes to our local codebase. If we add a new folder and file to our local drive, this will now show in SmartGit as an untracked file, and our graph window will report that the working tree has one file changed. Right-clicking on the file allows us to commit this file. Once we have entered the commit message, we have the option to just commit to our local repository or to both locally commit and push to GitHub. I'll just commit locally to show you what that does. The graph window shows that the local branch called master is now out of step with the origin branch on GitHub. We can use the push button on the toolbar to push our changes up to GitHub. As you will see, our local repository is now back in sync with GitHub. You can always use the Remote Properties option to see the URL of a remote repository. If there are multiple developers working on the same GitHub repository, then the sync button is very useful, and it first pushes local changes, then attempts to pull down from GitHub any remote changes, thereby updating your local repository with any changes other developers have made. It's good practice and common sense only to commit changes to the remote repository for source code that has been successfully tested. This has been a short introduction to integrating SmartGit with GitHub, and hopefully you will find the guidance useful. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching.